In today's video, we're going to be exploring the topic that nobody ever talks about. Is good violin sound a luxury? In this video, we're going to dive in whether it is or whether it's not. Stick around to the end of the video so you don't miss it. If you're meeting for the first time, my name is Eric. I'm a violinist. Thanks for coming across this YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that way you get notified for when new videos come out. It helps me out as a content creator to provide more violin videos for you. So this has been something that's been on my mind lately. Is good violin sound a luxury? If you were to ask me that question maybe 20 or 30 years ago, the answer might have been yes. Good violin sound might have been a luxury for very few who were able to afford it. However, because of recent developments in understanding how Antonio Stradivari made his violins, and the Guarneri del Jesus and the Amatis and the Vioms, luthiers have looked at these instruments for hundreds of years, trying to dissect what makes these old instruments special. Well, because of recent technological developments, we're able to analyze the varnish, we're able to analyze the shape and the model of each type of Stradivari instrument, each type of Guarneri del Gesù, each Amati. So a lot of the technological advances that we're experiencing in the 21st century has helped us analyze what and how these instruments sound like, if they're able to be replicated in a modern copy. First and foremost, we have to talk about the actual equipment to create a sound. So let's talk about the violin. Let's talk about the strings. Let's talk about the bow, the kinds of chin rest, the kind of tailpiece that you use. All of these little elements create a nice sound, or can potentially create a nice sound. It even comes down to the kind of strings that you use, how high the bridge is, and what kind of action is between the string and the fingerboard. And also the bow. We can't forget about the bow, right? So we have a good bow, preferably made of Pernambuco wood, which is a Brazilian wood known for its flexibility and durability. And then you have to put into account the weight of the bow. Typically for a violinist, you want to have between 60 and 62 grams. I've also seen violin bows, like full-size violin bows, reach right below the 60-gram mark. For me personally, I don't use a wooden bow below 60 grams. It's just not my style. It's not my feel. And then with the bow, you have good bow hair, and you also have to get specific kind of rosin. And we can talk about like the different kinds of rosins out there. There are like hundreds of different types of rosins that you can use to create a nice sound. And then we get into the details of like, okay, how is a sound post adjusted? Is it adjusted a certain way? Do you have a special person that you trust to put your sound post in a specific way? There are some people around the world that obsess with, I'm going to only go to this person. I'm only going to go to this luthier or this violin specialist to adjust my sound. That could be a little bit on the extreme side. However, there's one thing that we are missing, folks, and that is the ability to train to get a good sound. And that's where the luxury part comes into the equation, because you can have a good violin, right? But a violin is useless if you don't have the right training to handle that kind of violin. It's like me wanting to drive a Ferrari, and I don't know the bells and whistles and the capabilities of a Ferrari. So for me, I wouldn't be able to drive it to its full capacity because I'm not trained like a Ferrari driver. I'm not trained like an F1 Formula driver. And for me as a musician, as a violinist, it took me many thousands of dollars later to create a good sound. And that leads me to the root of the question: is good violin sound a luxury? It depends on how you look at it. If you're looking from a purely equipment perspective, then yeah, you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a good violin sound. You can probably get a handmade, luthier-made violin that costs maybe less than $5,000, even below that, probably in the $3,000 to $2,000 range, and get a pretty decent carbon fiber bow or a wooden bow that costs maybe less than $500. That could easily do the job. However, if we're starting to look at the advanced and the professional levels, you have to put into consideration the amount of dollars that either your parents have put in or you yourself have put in to create the training to be able to create that sound. And sound is such a very interesting conversation to have because everybody has their own subjective point of view on what sound should be like, how sound should sound from a violin. For me, I tend to gravitate towards like the darker, warmer tones. You know, for me, my ears, I don't like having bright strings. And actually, that's a note to the dominant pros. You know, I've been playing on the dominant pros for a while, and the more I've played on them, the more I realize that they're really bright. They are versatile, but they're a little too bright for me, and I want a little bit more darkness and more warmth to those sounds. So let's do a simple equation. Let's say you started the violin at 5 years old, right? And then you go 13 years to play the violin, and then you add maybe another 4 years for undergraduate, and then maybe another 2 years of graduate school just to be able to get the sound that you want. You know, you spent countless hours, more than 10,000 hours to create a good sound. And then you could actually argue that good sound could be a luxury for some, because if you have the money to invest in a good professor or in a good violin teacher, then you might be able to have that investment. All in all, there is a level of financial investment that you have to put in, whether you like it or not, to be able to get the training to produce a nice sound. And then once you have the training, then you're able to play the Ferraris of the violin, you know, the McLarens of the violin, because you understand how to work the violin. If you bring a beginner to a Stradivari, it sounds beautiful, it sounds nice because everything is set up great and whatnot, but they don't understand the full potential of what that sound can do. So if you're a beginner watching this, you could easily get away with like a $2,000, $3,000 instrument and have a $500 bow, or you can even go cheaper than that if you want. You know, if you're just a beginner, you don't know if you're gonna like it or not, or if you're a parent watching this and you have no idea whether your child is going to enjoy the instrument. Those are conversations to be had because, you know, whether we like it or not, there are financial aspects of music that we need to consider. Long story short, your body is your Strad. If you have the training for numerous years, you can create a good sound on any instrument. And that is where you get the beautiful tone, the luxurious sound that you hear many of these violin soloists around the world play. Let me know in the comments section, is good violin sound a luxury? And I'd love to have the conversation down in the comment section below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up for the algorithm. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button. It helps me out as a content creator to provide more videos for you. And don't forget to hit those bell notifications so that way you get notified for when new videos come out. Please be sure to check out other violin videos on the channel to help you become a better violinist. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.